Welcome to Kings of Kimuras.
Okay, guys, welcome to season 3 of Kings of Kimura podcast. I had hoped that we'd kind of have a new studio completely set up, but there's still a few more things that are not finished. So you're getting to see part of our new setup, some new chairs, a little bit easier to operate on, but it's been a minute. So since our last podcast, you got your black belt. How does that feel?
That's pretty surreal feeling when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much a culmination of like a lifelong of training. So it was really cool to have my whole family, everybody at Corvo here.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool experience. And honestly, when I got it, I knew that the work was pretty much just starting. So since then, I've just been training pretty much nonstop.
Yeah,
and it's been good. I've been trying to get back to the fundamentals because they say when you get your black belt, it's like you're a white belt all over again. So.
Yeah, it is in the sense of you're now thrown in this competition bracket with people with, years of experience. But it's nothing more than what it is. It's a piece of cloth, right? It the work that you put in represents more than the piece of cloth. I was told by one of my first instructors that the black belt only covers 2 inches of your ass and you got to cover the rest of it. And that's 100% the truth. Every time that I've ever rolled with anybody being a black belt, I have to expect that they're going to give me their best,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm getting that now. I'm sure some of the other black belts here, because I was not the only black belt promoted. Congrats to all the other Corvo black belts, but they said the same thing. It's like, man, everybody's trying to kill me now.
Yeah,
dude.
It's a reality, man. You may not be always the best guy on tapping everybody or controlling everybody, but your defense is black belt, so you have that ability to defend. But yeah, man, I'm really proud of you guys and the work that you put in. It's not easy to get to that belt. There's a lot of things that happen in between, a lot of injuries, a lot of things with your family. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why somebody could quit, and every one of them would be justifiable.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, man, I came too far with this. Especially after college, I'm not sure how many people know, but I did sign to wrestling college, D2, after high school at the University of Central Missouri. Stuff ended up not working out there. I had some health issues I had to get solved, but honestly, more than that, it's probably more mental. I just was kind of burnt out from wrestling, and I just didn't enjoy the hustle anymore. I just kind of fell out of love with the sport. And so coming back into jiu-jitsu was a huge self-esteem boost, because even though I hadn't grappled in a long time, with submissions, I was still able to kind of hold my own. Until I went and competed against real blue belts. And then I was like, oh, okay, I definitely have some more work to do here. But, yeah, man, it's just sticking with it, to anybody who is maybe just starting their jiu-jitsu journey. You're a white belt, maybe you're even a blue or purple. Just stick with it. I mean, there's no secret to it. It's just a lot of hard work and dedication and determination to get better, because you could come in and train 3-4 times a week, but if you're not really focused on getting any better, you're just gonna stagnate. You're gonna plateau. You're gonna go up maybe a little bit and then hit this plateau where you're not making any improvement, and then maybe you start to get slightly worse. So just stick with it, stay true to the process, and enjoy the journey. The destination. I knew that I would get my black belt eventually. You know, if I just stuck with training and I put in the hours, I was going to get my black belt eventually. And so when it happened, it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's go now. We're reaching that level where they say that black belt matches matter, win-loss ratio kind of thing, but dude, I'm just out there to have fun, especially rookie year at black belt. I
don't think it really matters to too many people, if you're going to count your black belt record, but I think competing is a whole nother thing outside of being a black belt. There's people that are black belts are competing at blue belt. You know, it's just it's one of those things that you have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, are you willing to go through that process of like losing and, you know, like being like beaten multiple times to get to that point, right? Because it's hard to do, man. It's all mental, you know. Like shouldn't say it's all mental, but like a big portion of competing is mental. You know,
Absolutely.
not psyching yourself out prior to getting to the mat.
For sure. I think it's I'm trying to think. Have we done an episode since Worlds or
No.
no? Since the Nogi Worlds, yeah. So, Nogi Pans and Worlds, you know, obviously didn't go how I would have liked. You know, obviously I would love to be sitting here with 2 gold medals right now, or potentially 4, but, you know, that was reserved for other people on that day. I felt really good going into Worlds, not so much going into Pans. Pans, I was really, really nervous. I was maybe more nervous for that Pans than any tournament that at least in a long time, you know, in a few years. So that was kind of weird, and I had to kind of overcome some mental obstacles and just tell myself to have fun with it again, really. I just felt like I just was not having any fun competing. It was all, I'm trying to win gold. Like, I need to win to get my name out there kind of deal. But I stopped all that before Worlds. I was like, okay, hold on. Let me refocus here. Let me just focus on having fun with training and competing, and let's see where that goes. And I did way, way better. Yeah. Not only was I less nervous, I was more willing to pull the trigger, more willing to get in exchanges and scrambles. So
yeah,
it felt
I
good.
think that I noticed a big difference there too. You know, like you had a pretty tough like first match, didn't you? Or was that JB? JB fought that muscled up dude. Did you fight the Brazilian guy first round, right?
At
Nogi Worlds.
At Worlds, I fought the Shut Up Natalie guy.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, he was probably like the biggest guy in the whole division, right? And then you ended up taking his back.
Yeah.
And then the second match is where like I felt like you kind of shined. You know, like you do very good at like surprising guys early. You know, when they're like a slow start, where I feel like so many guys in jiu-jitsu start slow and then they are behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I try not to get behind, man. And that's part of that wrestling mentality. So like, you got to go and just get it. You know, if you want to score first, okay, that's great. Yeah, let's go and score first. And yeah, like you said, it's like overwhelmed. It's like a blitz. You know, like if I can blitz guys and get their back from the standing position, or mat return them and then take their back, that's like the ideal situation. Sure. Get them out of there quick, and that's something that I've been hearing talked a lot about, is going from the standing position and going straight to the back. It's like, well, I've been doing that for years because I have a good slide by, I have a good duck under, I have good short offense to get me to the back from standing, and then I'm pretty tenacious when I get to the back too. So yeah, that second match was definitely one of my favorites from that Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely like overwhelmed and like unprepared for that. You know, I watched his first match and he was very slow to start, and then once he kind of got started, he was okay, but like very slow in the first couple minutes. So yeah, that was good work, man.
Gotta hit him with the blitz.
Yeah. You mentioned something in there about like your first time competing at blue belt. You know, like and realizing like, man, there's real blue belts. I personally think that blue belt and black belt are the 2 hardest belts to compete at. And the reason I say that is because black belt, obviously, you're going to compete with guys that are like been training forever. But blue belt, because you may get some teenager that like went through all the kids' belts. I mean, similar to you, right? You went through a lot of kids' belts, but you may have somebody that's, you know, look at like Joel, right? I mean, that kid, I don't even know how many matches he's had in his lifetime, but I would say it's probably like over 500.
Yeah,
you know, and like
some crazy amount of matches.
By the time he's a blue belt adult, he's had, you know, 500-600 matches. So and as an adult, let's say you were like a guy like me that started jiu-jitsu later in my late 20s, that's going to be my first blue belt match, you know, because if you're an adult, they're going to put all those people together, and then sometimes they let those kids fight up too. So
That's scary.
that's why I say those two are the hardest belts to compete at. Sure, there's like way more technical matches that happen at purple and brown, but like by the time you're at purple and brown, you know, I think that everybody kind of has that skill set of like attack and defend. Whereas if you're a fresh blue belt, you may have like one submission you're pretty good at, maybe two, but really you're like an expert in escaping or, you know, defending. You know, that's what I think of when I think of a blue belt. And that's not the same that a kid that went from white to green belt and then gets a blue belt. You know, they're the equivalent time is same as adult black belt, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was literally just about to say, when I was a kid and I saw like a kid who was a green belt, I was like, holy shit, that kid's like a black belt, you know, because they've been training for so long. Yeah, there's some like really good green belts around this area when I was like 11, 12 years old. I remember there's a few kids from Alvarez, BJJ over there in Arlington. Those kids were super tough, man. I remember they had, it was like Justin something. I can't remember his last name. But the kid that I used to train with who was really good, he was an orange belt. This other kid was a green belt. And, yeah, this kid just completely smoked him. I mean, I was like in awe because I couldn't even get close to beating this orange belt kid, and he goes out there and does it pretty easy. I was like, wow.
Do you think that,
crazy.
like, what is the percentage of those kids that stick around? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
It's pretty small amount because I can't think of too many. I know some kids that were extremely talented. I think of a couple kids that trained at Moeller. Two Korean brothers. I can't remember what their names were, but they used to fight like Nakamura all the time. And I think one of them had a concussion or something like that, and the mom was like, "We're done." But they went all the way to like blue belt before they stopped, and I think they're at college or something now. Oh, Joshua Hom, that was it. Joshua Hom, and I don't remember what the other brother was.
Yeah, I remember that kid. He was
those
really
kids
good.
were really good. Yeah, and they would be like black belt by now, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
So for every like one kid that sticks around and goes all the way to black belt, I think there's probably like 20 kids that get to green or blue belt and then just quit, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I can't remember, I mean, not a single kid that I lost to when I was growing up I've seen competing. You know, they might be training here and there, but they're definitely not competing like they used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid that I grew up doing jiu-jitsu with, then wrestled against him in high school. Like, he's a blue belt now, like, just started training jits because he was wrestling in college for a bit. So, like, he kind of stuck with it, but it's not really competing that much anymore. But it's really the people who stick around. I think one of my wrestling coaches told me that. He's like, it's not about who's good right now. It's about who sticks around. Yeah. You know, like, then you get to see. Because sometimes if you have success early, that can be a bit of a curse because the sport just comes so easy to some kids where it's like they don't have to necessarily work as hard as other kids do. So they just kind of get a little bit complacent, and then when they get complacent, obviously they lose to those kids who are working hard, and then they start hating the sport. They're like, I'm not winning as much, blah, blah, blah. So that's when you see the switch. You either see them do more work and rely less on their talent, or you just see them quit. Yeah. Which a lot of kids do.
Well, I think that's even true for adults too. You know, I think back to my first ever time getting to a absolute final when I was a blue belt. There was a guy that beat me, and he was like beating everybody on the other side of the bracket with submissions, you know, and it got to me, and like we battled it out, and it was referee's decision. And then I never saw the guy again. Like, he trained in somewhere in Louisiana. And then, like, I got my black belt, you know, years pass. I get my black belt. I'm competing at, I want to say it was Dallas Open or something like that. And I see this dude that looks like the guy that I fought at blue belt, still wearing a blue belt, but like about 80 to 100 pounds bigger. And I'm like, I'm like, man, is that guy, you know? And then, like, I go up and talk to him, and he's like, yeah, I took a bunch of time off from training and, just getting back into it. But it was shocking to see, what time had done to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, just time off training. Obviously, he had probably had something going on in his life, but like, you know, the difference of like somebody that continued to train and live that lifestyle of like being healthy and exercising every day, as opposed to somebody that had quit and obviously not taking health very serious.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy. It's like a time capsule. Like, yeah, jiu-jitsu definitely breaks you down, but it keeps you young at the same time. I feel like you're gonna suffer anyway. You might as well suffer and like be jacked,
Yeah.
and be in good shape.
I hear so many people that work at a desk job and they're like, "Oh, my back hurts. I have carpal tunnel." It's like, yeah, my back hurts sometimes, but when I roll around on the ground, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
it only
when
hurts
I'm
when I'm
rolling.
like doing normal stuff like standing or like having to sit somewhere for a long time. But when I'm on the mat, I feel like my back feels really good, or my whole body does really. It's just that afterwards. But I think, like you said, if you're going to be sore from life, would you rather be sore from life and do something you enjoy, or sore from life and like do something you hate?
Yeah, I'm just be miserable. I think
Right.
that's the issue with a lot of people now. Is like they're in pain because they don't treat their body correctly, and then two, they're doing things that they're not passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dude, no, you can't do. You, I feel like one of those two things is fine. Like, if you're not gonna do something you're passionate about, at least treat your body like your body's your temple kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you can go about life in a good way with those two things: being miserable and being out of shape and
Yeah.
not taking your body
Yeah,
serious.
absolutely.
Your body's your temple, man. You can't abuse it. And I started taking creatine after Worlds
Mhm.
because I was starting to feel some fatigue. I started to pick up training because
Yeah.
obviously I got my black belt, and then I started training like pretty hard, twice a day, pretty much every day. And just one little thing, like just taking creatine, I do double the dose. I don't
Yeah.
know, like I do
I've heard-
10 grams.
Yeah, I've heard people doing that too. It's like double dose because obviously your body's like not going to process it all, but it's also David was telling me something about that, like people doing double doses now for better brain cognition and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel sharper through the day, and I feel less fatigued working out harder.
Yeah.
Going to John's, I'm still sore, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'm not as sore for as long a period of time,
Mhm.
so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to really do a lot of different things. It's got to be like eating well, getting plenty of sleep, taking supplements. It's impossible to get all of the nutrients your body needs just through food. I remember seeing a diagram one time of like how much you'd have to eat in order to get like a certain amount of each vitamin a day, and basically you're like eating like 20 pounds of food or something,
Yeah, something unattainable, basically.
Well, I mean, even if you like had the money to afford, the healthiest types of food, like, and now you're eating like 2-hour meals or something to be able to process everything.
Yeah, no thanks, dude. I got stuff to do, man.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why sometimes.
So recently we won that, we decided to do this like team event and we did the World League. And we ended up like winning a team trophy. That wasn't the goal. That wasn't like what was set out. And honestly, I didn't even consider it because so many times at these events, there's like huge teams. I think we had like 11 or 12 people competing. But because so many people got submissions, which they count those as points as well, I think it's like 1 or 2 points. And then so many people medaled in first place that we ended up getting the team trophy like almost by 100 points or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome, dude. Yeah, I just told the guys like, whenever we were closing out class or whatever, leading up to it, I was like, guys, just have fun with it, dude. Like,
Mhm.
win, lose, or draw, we'll still be in your corner. You
Yeah.
know, me and Tony are not gonna be like, oh, you didn't get gold at World League, you can't come back to the gym. Like,
Yeah.
bro, come on, we're not gonna do that. Like, don't worry about the result. Just go out and have fun. And I think that's what everybody did. Everybody just went
Yeah.
out and just had some fun with it. And
Yeah, it's not a a super serious tournament. I mean, I'm sure some people take it serious, but maybe because we approach it as like not being a serious event, we do better at it. Um, but the guys did great, you know, like plenty of white belts competing for the first time, and like a couple of them like getting gold, you know, their first time ever competing. So it definitely has motivated a lot of guys that want to compete for this next event as well in April.
For sure. I hope we get like 15 plus.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like everybody who did this one do the next one.
Yeah.
I'll try to do it. You know, I'll help that somebody's in my division.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for the under 195 advanced if you're gonna do the next one.
Yeah, I see the one that they have in San Diego, and that one seems like their biggest one that they have. You know, it'll be a sold out event, and like every division has somebody in it. You know.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Then for some reason, you know, people choose to do like an AGF tournament. I think that was like the same weekend as World League, and like, you know, AGF they've put on some great events in the past, but I feel like they're not trying to innovate. You know, they're not trying to find a better venue that's better for viewing, better for coaching. You know, they're like, I just can't stand driving all the way to
Duncanville Fieldhouse.
Exactly, man.
Dude, that venue, if you guys do jiu-jitsu in the DFW area, you know about Duncanville Fieldhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Driving to that place is just horrible. There's always traffic, and like when you get off the highway, there's like a loop, and that loop gives me anxiety every single time.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is horrible. And then the parking situation, like, I've definitely gone there a few times and like had to park in the dirt grass area.
Yeah, it's like not even, they don't have enough parking for the amount of people that they have coming into place, you know.
So, jiu-jitsu organizers, can we stop going to Nitec Sports Center, and can we stop going to Duncanville Fieldhouse, please?
You know,
Comerica Center I can deal with. I like Comerica Center a lot, but those Nitecs and Duncanville Fieldhouse, no, we need to stop having events there. Please.
My second ever tournament to compete in was at Nitec Sports Center. It was a Naga. And then like my most, almost my most recent, right, was the Dallas Open. Competed there as well. And nothing has changed since they opened that place. You know,
literally, it's so crazy.
The bathrooms are disgusting. You know, there's not enough seating for people. It's all like concrete. You know, the AC or the heat, depending on the temperature, it doesn't work well. The cell service, it doesn't work well.
It's just so trash.
I just have to imagine, you know, IBJJF is not charging people to come in there, which I appreciate. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't mind having to pay like $5, $10 as a spectator if we can get like a better place, you know?
Yeah.
Like some place with a better seating.
Yeah, better seating, better for the viewing, because like you could throw mats on any concrete surface and then say like, we're gonna run a tournament now, but it's like, dude, the spectators are the people who suffer. You're getting there, you're doing your thing, and you're leaving usually, so you're not staying there too long. But it's like the people who are there with you are there to support you. They get screwed over because there's like no seating in that place.
Yeah, I don't understand why some promoter hasn't like already decided like to do an elevated floor. Like I know there's more cost added on that, but I feel like you could have like much more exciting matches without people getting injured, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Doing mats straight on concrete it hurts.
And not just mats on concrete, it's like mats that have been used for 10, 15 years, you know? So now like the rubber is super hard on them, and the padding is not that great. You know, it's like older technology. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's worse, the rollout or like the layout mats on concrete. Maybe the rollout is a little bit better because it actually is like they call that a closed cell foam. So it has like air pockets inside of it. But definitely the ones they lay out are like rock hard.
Oh,
IBJJF
yeah, they're
mats.
compressed for.
Yeah.
And you got to think they're like stacked on top of each other. So they're getting compressed constantly. And then you step foot on that mat, you're like, wow, this is
It's like a
stiff,
rock,
dude.
yeah.
And also they're like sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
I have horrible mat burn. I got such bad mat burn on my elbows from their mats.
Yeah.
shooting singles, like not wrestler friendly,
Mm-hmm.
not wrestler friendly at all. You shoot and you scrape your top of your foot on the mat. It's like sandpaper.
Hmm.
You have like burns on
Yeah.
top of your feet.
I doubt they really ever clean that stuff either, you know.
Probably not thoroughly.
No.
Not as thoroughly as they should.
Like only when somebody, you know, throws up or they like bleed on the mat, so like spray that area, you know.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah.
Will take you right out.
Yeah, it's you know, that's a tough situation because I know they're like trying to maximize their dollar, you know, so they're not like buying new mats all the time. But I feel like maybe if they, you know, after 5 years or something, they opened it up to like the public, hey, you can auction off these mats or something, you know.
Yeah, for sure. You buy these IBJJF mats.
I mean, there's a lot of schools that we see that buy used mats. You know, like most recently, the gym across the street from us, somebody bought those mats and put them in.
Yeah.
You know, so
Gotta
not
do what you
everybody,
gotta do.
yeah, not everybody can afford to buy like brand new mats. So maybe that would like help off balance some of their costs. So
Yeah, it's a good, and also you'd be giving back to the jiu-jitsu community as
Yeah.
well. I don't know what they do with those old mats. Maybe like they just
I mean-
resell. Maybe they just recycle them or like resell them back to the maker. I don't know.
my understanding is they have like the mats. Each major city has mats that are stored in a storage facility because it's cheaper to buy mats to fill a jiu-jitsu event and pay a storage fee than it is to truck them between city, you know, because it's probably, I would say, like to truck them between city on an 18-wheeler, man, you're probably talking like $1,000, maybe, you know, $1,500 or something.
Yeah.
Whereas like you could pay $1,500 for an entire year and have a storage building for that one city, you know.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And at least we don't have the puzzle mats. I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah.
They still have the puzzle mats in Brazil.
Yeah, that's just that import export thing in Brazil, you know, it's very expensive. So, well, let's take a break real quick and then we'll come back and wrap some things up. We're always looking for sponsors for this podcast to, you know, just help us keep it going because it does cost money. So, you know, if you guys enjoy it, feel free to reach out to us, donate something. If you have a product or a business, we'd be happy to put it up in the background. You know, that's kind of a goal for me this year is like get this podcast to where it's like actually paying for itself, you know, not necessarily like looking to make a huge profit here. But you know, it takes money to make money, right? So
That
like
is true.
we've
Yeah.
been we did these last couple seasons and you know, I really wanted to get this thing back off the ground and like have a permanent podcast studio. So I'm hoping that by next week when we do our next one, we'll have it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and we got our table here. So if you guys do want to sponsor, we can put your product, like your little
There you go.
product right here. Whatever you want, dude. You want CBD? You want some creatine? You want what you want? We can supply it for you.
Yeah, I feel like the hardest thing with this podcast is because it's like a saturated market, you know, is like finding legitimate sponsors. I mean,
For
we
sure.
definitely had like Edgar and Eager ones. He donated a camera so we could have like two different angles. We just don't have the setup for it. I need to get a mixer. You know, we were talking about that before, a video mixer that allows us to like switch between cameras so we can have different angles. And, you know, we definitely invested and like got a new mixer for the audio. That was pretty cool. I was like able to swap a guy straight up on Facebook Marketplace, you know.
Yeah,
So
you get the upgrade, and he still comes away with something.
yeah. So it's been fun for sure, but you know, I'd like to get to the point where it's just like kind of on autopilot, you know, like I have to do less, you know, we just show up and record and then send it off to the editor.
Just have
know.
some fun with it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get some more guests and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a big year, I think, for Corvo, and this year and next year, because we'll be moving from this location soon. We'll still be in Richardson. We'll just be in a different location, hopefully a bigger location. And like you kind of mentioned it earlier, or when we were talking earlier, about having maybe like some weights in there,
Yeah.
having a weightlifting gym eventually. Yeah, while
Yeah.
also
I think
having
it's
mats.
important, like maybe the next one we have doesn't have like a huge weightlifting area, but it needs to have like an Airdyne bike and some kettlebells and, maybe like some type of like squat rack or something. I don't want to put too much because there's some, people that don't know how to lift and they'll go in there and do some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But I do want to have something so that like people can come and get a workout in, like maybe after class, stick around and do that. So
For sure. Yeah, just get a little extra work in.
yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to see how far it's come, now that we have like 2 locations and, like over, 200 and something students between the two. It's cool to see that. And I know it's going to continue to grow and expand and, we'll open up more gyms in different areas. And I mean, that's like our long-term goal. So it's cool to see it.
You gotta have that powerhouse program, dude.
Yeah.
Texas grappling.
Yeah, I
on
think
the
that's
map.
the way, especially here in DFW, because it's kind of getting like saturated. Like our gym here in Richardson doesn't have the same reach that it used to have. Where we occasionally get people that from McKinney and Dallas and stuff, but like before we'd get people from like Rockwall and like the Colony and stuff like that, and we still do, but not as much as we used to. I feel like the way to reach more people is just have different locations. Like I talked to Kyle Terra one time, and he told me the thing he noticed most of like why people quit was that it was too far for them to drive. And on average, people said that 10 miles was too far for them to drive from their house. So I was like, well, we'll just put a gym every 9 miles then. Like, solve that problem.
Put a gym every 10 miles from
Yeah.
here to Timbuktu, man.
So, we're continuing our expansion and, the bring jiu-jitsu to people and specifically like no gi. I'm not opposed to the gi itself, but I feel like what we are doing and how we're innovating and, the events that we do, it typically be no gi.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if you want to win an 80cc open, it doesn't make much sense to train the gi.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to win these no gi events, let's train some no gi. But yeah, I'm excited for the gym, man. It's like you said, it's already come so far, and just the time that you've been open, and just the time that I've been with y'all, and that wasn't even from the very beginning. You guys already had that gym around the corner, but thank God we don't have those red mats anymore.
Yeah, no kidding, man. It's super slick. I think some people, kind of like underestimated, like I'm not a guy that comes from a martial arts background, and like I had this vision to create a gym, and I think anything that you do in life, if somebody feels like they should be doing it and not you, they'll try to discourage you, and I definitely had those people like along the way that are like, nah, dude, you should just like get a regular job, like, well, that's what you're doing, that doesn't mean that that's what I have to do. And what is a regular job really? Like regular job 50 years ago used to be a farmer, now you're working in an office selling software. So you're telling me you have a regular job,
Yeah.
So like, what does that even mean? I think that even like 20 years from now, a lot of the jobs that people do that require them to work on computers will be automated, like it's going to be taken over by AI. So you end up needing to do something specialized as a career, that can't be replicated by machines or technology.
Easy work, dude. Let's go. In 15 years, AI, you ain't replacing me, bro.
Yeah.
You can't do what I do.
I saw a meme recently. It was what is his name? Buddy.
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
He's like sitting there super jacked. This is back in the 90s. He's like giving a thumbs up to the camera, and it says, when you know that selling trend to teenagers can't be copied by AI.
Nobody can sell trend to teenagers like me, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a joke, but it's like that's where you have to be. You got to have that mindset of like whatever it is you choose to do in life, you better make sure that at some point it can't be copied. Like I know my dad probably never thought of like at some point, we're gonna have like a real Terminator type situation, where Skynet is like controlling everything, and that's kind of seems where it's headed, whether we want it or not. AI is like here to stay.
For
you know?
sure. Yeah. And like right now it's kind of creepy and especially the AI that tries to be more human like.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have a problem with AI if it's like funny use for AI, people they'll talk to like AI versions of characters or like people or whatnot.
Yeah.
And, like that's fun. But when they like tries to be human, that's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
And so they have to figure out how to like not make it as creepy because
Yeah.
at least for right now, people definitely prefer humans in like certain areas that you could consider like you could just automate this.
Yeah.
Like a McDonald's like worker and a cashier,
Mhm.
You already have it to a certain degree,
Sure.
you walk in and there's like essentially a huge tablet that you can put your order on. So I
Mhm.
don't even have to like speak to this person over here.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but some
I'm the
people
guy
like
that
it.
like orders on the app. If you got an app, I don't want to have to interact with somebody because they'll initially or some type of like way they'll screw my order up.
Yeah, they'll like hear me wrong.
Yeah.
Dude, I said Baja Blast. Put the Baja Blast. Like, come on. Oh, there was I saw a meme where there's an AI. So at some Taco Bells around the country,
Mhm.
they're having AI take orders, and they the AI asked them like, "What do you want to drink?" And it's pretty clear that this guy has tried to order the same thing about 50 times because he's like smashing the steering wheel. He's like, "I want a Mountain Dew Baja Blast," and the AI goes, "And to drink?" And he just puts it in drive and just skirts off.
Yeah.
I'm done with this, bro. I can't have AI screwing up my order anymore.
I definitely I went somewhere recently through a drive-through and it was a AI. Oh, you know where it was? It was Panda Express. They've
Okay.
like switched over to it, but they have like a very limited menu where they have like 5 things.
Yeah, it's
So,
not very many
yeah.
items.
So it's like a lot easier probably for some place like that as opposed to like you go to Taco Bell and they have a pretty extensive menu.
like Raising Cane's. Like,
Yeah,
all right, do you
exactly.
want 3 chicken fingers or do you want 5?
I said 5.
Do you want the Caniac combo? Yeah, I do. I want 2 of them actually.
What I want to know is like who is eating all the coleslaw at Raising Cane's? Like
How are they even profitable
Yeah,
with
exactly.
the coleslaw?
Yeah.
Because
I-
nobody eats it.
like the only time I ever eat it is if I'm like really hungry.
I don't think I've ever even tried it. I
It's-
literally don't think I've ever
it's
tried
like
a spoonful.
it's like soupy cabbage.
oh,
you know?
that's so
It's like yeah, it's like covered in mayonnaise and vinegar. Who doesn't love that?
yeah, your breath is gonna smell crazy between the sauce and the coleslaw.
Yeah.
I don't even think that Raising Cane sauce could save that coleslaw.
Yeah, they do have it dialed in though on the chicken strips. I feel like I used to be like a Chick-fil-A fan, but man, I feel like Raising Cane's their strips are like more crispy and like tender inside.
I like the
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A flavor when
Yeah.
it's like, and I also like it when it's like nice and hot. But the
Mhm.
problem is like they're making so many sandwiches that they're borderline cold when you get them.
Yeah.
They're like lukewarm. And also the packaging they put it in, the bun will get like saturated with water.
Yeah.
Because it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the condensation's getting stuck inside of the packaging.
Well, it's like covered in butter and water. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I try to eat less bread when I go to Chick-fil-A, so I'll do like a double sandwich. So, it's like 2 chicken breasts on there. But it's hard to eat Chick-fil-A, man, because I feel like their food is covered in so many ingredients,
Yeah, there's a
That I
lot
just,
of
like,
ingredients.
feel like crap after. I used to not feel that way, but I think they just like must have changed something up,
Yeah, or maybe your body just gets used to like eating a certain way. Or
maybe. But I can go eat some Canes and I feel okay,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's so weird. Right? I mean, Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane's are pretty big in the U.S., but I feel like
Mhm.
Raising Cane's quality is definitely where they set themselves
Oh
apart.
yeah, for sure.
I could definitely put away a Caniac combo and not feel too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's been like a lot of crazy stuff going on lately, you know, like I guess I wanted to like touch on the drone stuff, you know, like the drones last year, you know, up in New Jersey and stuff. And apparently that's like been going on for multiple years. You know, I heard one of like, I think it was David Fravor on Joe's podcast, who's the guy that saw that Tic Tac UFO. He said like apparently it's been going on for years. And then you have some dude, one of the senators saying that it's like Iran with these drones. They have like a submarine that's sending them out. And then most recently, press secretary for the U.S. says it was our technology. So I don't know who to believe, you know, in this. Like previous administration is saying they don't know what it was. So just strange. And then to find out some of these drones are like the size of an SUV, you know, like I don't think I've ever seen a drone that size before.
Yeah, that's an insane. That's a huge drone. What the?
Well, one of the guys
controlling it.
He was saying that like they have basically an unlimited payload, and there's no way to prevent these things from like flying wherever they want to. This guy was like, you could fly, you know, a weapon system over the White House and park it there, and nobody could do anything about it. You know, like it's going to get there before we're able to scramble a F-16 fighter jet to it.
That's crazy. You gotta put up the counter drone. It's gonna just end up being drones in the air.
Well, they have that technology too that basically sends like an EMP out, right? You know, but then I think like it's not only gonna mess up the drones, it's gonna mess up like anything that's inside that radius. So like you got to be willing to like sacrifice some of your own technology there, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, warfare is definitely gonna change a lot, but
Yeah.
that's so weird that nobody knows where they're coming from, but they're just these huge drones flying around.
Yeah.
And where do they go? You know, when they're done.
Well, and then you have that guy that like blew that Tesla truck up at Trump Plaza.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
That guy, he left a letter, or I don't even know if it was like really him because it was like found after he died supposedly. But he said he worked at some place where he was like a drone pilot or something, but he was like special forces with like Tim Kennedy, and he worked someplace near like Area 51. He like gave coordinates to the building and everything, but he was saying that a lot of that drone technology was our technology, which is the same thing that the government is now saying.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
I mean, we got to have something. The most recent thing I heard is that like Tic Tac thing, you know, that like hovers and goes. It's like, what do they call it? Not transgender, but it's like trans. It can go through different water and air and not make any type of like ripple or anything, whatever that's called, transmedium.
Dude, and that's so scary.
Yeah, but supposedly they're saying now that that's like Lockheed Martin, which Lockheed Martin is like has this division called Skunk Works that is supposedly like reverse engineering spacecraft. That's where that Bob Lazar guy comes in.
Yeah.
But supposedly that's like a U.S. technology, man, that I don't know if they reverse engineered it or they were able to like, you know, build this device, but it's like, you know, it's looks like a Tic Tac and then it creates this like square field around it is what most people say when they see it, you know.
That's
so it's like
so wild.
It's doing something with gravity. They call it gravitational propulsion.
That sounds like some alien that sounds like some alien stuff, dude.
Yeah.
It does. That's crazy.
I
don't doubt it even for a second. I mean, we still don't know what goes down at Area 51. There's still stuff going on there. They say that it's like an abandoned base now, but there's always vehicles there. There's always like people there.
Yeah, I think the most recent thing that they've said is it is still an active base. You know,
okay.
They said it for a while, but then when they had that like that whole discovery come out like the end of last year where people were talking to Congress about it, you know, they said like it's an actual active military base. But they just recently expanded the area that, because you could like drive up and you could look with binoculars and you could see the base, but they expanded it like another 3 miles out. So now people are like not able to get as close. There's definitely something going on there. I don't know what the technology is that we have, but I think it's way more than like just regular, burning fuel to like push something through the air. You're telling me that we were able to go to the moon, supposedly. We're able to go into outer space. We're able to develop these like crazy microchips. And we were just talking today, terabyte of storage is like this big. But we haven't figured out some kind of other way to propel something than just burning fossil fuels.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
There's so much, and the money in that too must be like huge. So it's got to be a worthwhile investment for whoever is like making the stuff.
Yeah, I think
engineering.
The goal of like corporations is to continue to get us to doing the same thing, buy and consume. And if they come out with some type of technology that no longer requires a fuel source to power it, then now you don't need those vehicles. You don't need gas stations. You don't need plants that build vehicles. You don't need people that build pipelines to transfer oil and gas, and you don't need refineries. And so you're talking about a whole like rebuild of society where these people no longer have jobs.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do? You have to figure out either you retrain these people or do you give them universal basic income?
Yeah, or do you just keep them with their oil? Meanwhile, you're developing some
Exactly.
crazy shit.
So you continue to make like mass profits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the goal of any corporation is just, get people to consume and buy and use and,
Yeah, just don't do no uprising, bro, or we're going to pull out the secret weapons on you.
Yeah.
Joe Biden already said he would.
Yeah.
He said he'd fly the jet over your house, bro. That's what he said.
Yeah. Your rifle is useless.
Yeah, against this jet. What a crazy thing to say. The president of the U.S. said that, guys. Remember, I want you to remember that.
Yeah, I just have to wonder how aware was he of things he's saying,
Probably not very aware at all.
It's kind of a sad situation, but he was also like one of the most corrupt. All politicians are corrupt. Let me say that first.
Yeah.
But he was like one of the most corrupt. If you go back and hear some of his like old speeches, he's like using racial slurs to describe races of people and stuff. And
oh yeah,
like,
not a good guy.
The whole like he's the guy that like came up with the law to put people in prison for cocaine or crack cocaine use. Meanwhile, his son is like one of the biggest crack smokers on the planet, allegedly,
Yeah, okay. Allegedly, this video is of him smoking crack with a prostitute.
Could be AI, AI is pretty good. I could be completely wrong here, so don't take my word for it. Go Google it yourself,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it. And also, didn't he just give like more pardons than any other president? Wasn't he?
Yeah.
He pardoned people who weren't even committing crimes, or haven't been caught committing a crime. Isn't that not
for
crazy?
like 14 years previously, like very specific dates, like from this date to this date?
You are pardoned.
What the hell happened between those dates, man?
Yeah, I don't even want to know.
I don't think that was him doing that. I mean, I think if he like had his wits about him, for sure he would do that. But I think it was more of a like, hey, dude, we need to do this, to save these people because everybody's going to go down.
Yeah, to cover your ass, dude,
but
basically.
The crazy thing is that I didn't realize is those pardons are only federal, so individual states can still pursue any type of charges if they know like you did it in that state. They just can't get you for any like federal crimes where you crossed over state lines for it,
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Can you imagine like doing something and then like needing a presidential pardon to like get you out of whatever trouble you just did? It's like,
yeah,
man, it's got to be pretty bad in order to get one of those.
It's got to be like corruption, like collusion or like treason or fucking something like that.
Yeah. Who knows,
insider
man?
trading. Well, I mean, insider trading that goes on like for sure all the time.
Oh yeah.
Both sides do it.
Sure. Yeah, that's
it's
why
too profitable.
there's no way somebody goes in to be a politician making $150,000 and is worth $40 million. You know, like you realize you'd have to like save every bit of your salary. You'd have to like live out of your vehicle or something. You know, like, and even then, like you'd be lucky to make, you know, in 10 years you'd have, okay, now you got $1 million. So, you know, you can invest that money, but it's not like that. It's like within the first year, these people are making like $5-10 million. And it's got to be tied to that U.S. aid thing that's going on right now. That's why people are upset. You know, they don't, man, I'm going to stop getting my money. Or you imagine you're like a first-time senator. You're like, this is my year, man. I'm going to make it big. And then a new president gets elected and Elon gets put in there. And you're like, shit, now I'm just living off of this $150,000, you know.
Oh, no, this 6-figure salary. Yeah. What am I going to do, man?
Yeah.
Everybody else is making 7.
I think of, like, Chael Sonnen in that video. He's like, my dad barely made $200,000 a year.
Yeah. Some years he only made $200,000.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't know how hard it was for us.
Yeah.
You know?
That's every U.S. senator right now. They're
exactly.
Like, this guy is ruining everything, bro.
Yeah.
Where are my millies?
But the crazy thing to me has always been like all this money spent overseas and no money spent here. You know, like how many times do you like drive to Dallas and you see like fucking homeless people on the street? And then like you flip on the news and you look in like Ukraine and like there's dudes rolling around in $1 million yachts that you know were bought with our tax money. Just talking and our camera overheated, so kind of lost our track there. If you were following that, you know, that kind of wraps it up. I think almost like the CIA or something must have shut the camera off remotely. That's
they
what
hit us with the EMP.
Yeah, exactly. So you were just talking about that alpha grappling thing that happened recently. That's like you competed on that one. You went to England and
yeah,
you were saying something about the rules on it.
Yeah, the open tournament they just had, it's called the Pohada Cup. The rules are like, they're pretty unique, I'd say, because it's a best 2 out of 3 deal. It's a tournament like format still, but you got to beat this dude twice to move on. And it's like, oh God, bro, I don't know. Beating some of these guys one time is hard enough, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like a real gauntlet. You got to really be, and it's open weight. So if you're a smaller guy, like, damn, bro, you can't just beat me one time. You got to beat me twice to move on. What are we doing?
That is kind of a weird rule set to have, you know, to like win twice. I feel like the best like team event out there right now is that quintet. I like the way they do the rules of like they give you the option if you're a smaller guy to have a shorter time, but then that can also like work against you too. You know, if like the bigger guy comes out and overwhelms you,
just blitzes you. But how many really big guys will just like have the cardio to go out there and blitz you for 5 minutes?
I don't know. There was that one dude from Japan. He fought on that Sakuraba's team. He's like a giant-ass Mongolian judo guy. And he had a pretty good gas tank. And then there was Haisam Rita, another big, huge guy, you know. But outside of that, I don't really know of like too many that could blitz you. But if the match is only like 5 minutes, I mean, a big guy I feel like can like maintain some kind of pace on that, you know, maybe at least for like a solid couple minutes.
You would hope so, right?
Yeah.
You would hope the gas tank would hold up for 5 minutes of just like hard work. But sometimes jits guys, man, not in the best shape.
It also depends on like age too, you know. So like obviously the older they get, it's going to be much harder to maintain that cardio.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to be way stronger. It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Limited gas tank, but your bones feel like adamantium.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't know. I like having good cardio because it's just fun to like overwhelm people. But as I get older, maybe I get a little more sore in the knees and be like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna try to hold people down now.
Yeah, give me your opinion in 20 years. You know.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be more of a side control guy.
Yeah, on bottom side control.
Yeah, bottom side control guy. Like Americanas from bottom side control. That's my game.
And buggy chokes.
Yeah. I would be worried at that age to do buggy chokes because I'd be fearful of my joints. You know,
You pull on your knee the wrong way.
like the bone's not going to break, but the joint's probably not very good. Like it's just skin and bones holding you together at that point.
Yeah, the muscle ain't there.
Well, we're going to wrap it up now. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of season 3, and we're going to try to continue to pump these out on a regular basis. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's Kings of Kimuras episode. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey. Remember to keep training, stay curious, and always be ready for the next adventure. Until next time, keep your guards up and your minds open.